Maguire, to be followed by Maggie Chapman.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The scale and complexity of tackling online child abuse, grooming and exploitation feels entirely overwhelming. It's a difficult thing to think about and talk about, but it's an issue that must be out in the open. In that regard, I thank the Justice Committee for bringing this debate to the Chamber. I'm grateful also to all the witnesses who contributed to their discussions. Whilst I wasn't there at the round table myself, I have read the transcript of the meetings and found them very informative. This subject is complicated and vast, so today I would intend to remark on just 3 things that stood out for me. Children in what adults might term the online world, the impact of pornography and the role of tech companies in the law. In terms of children and the online world, there's no such thing. There's no differentiation between the online and real world for our children and young people. It is the same place. This is a fact that us middle-aged policymakers and legislators who are lucky to have a childhood free from the internet absolutely have to get our heads around if we want to make a difference. During the roundtable, Stuart Allardyce of Stop It Now Scotland remarked that there was an assumption that those involved in serial offending are motivated paedophilic serial offenders. However, their current understanding is that there are different pathways that can lead to such behaviour, and that the shift towards transgressive illegal materials happens over time, with those who often view large amounts of legal pornography initially shifting towards illegal material. That being the case, there is, as the convener of the committee stated, obviously huge scope for preventative work to happen. Awareness needs to be raised and action taken promptly. The statistics that he quoted about the percentage of males who had looked at illegal images of children were shocking. They were pretty gut-wrenching. Now, there's obviously a much wider debate to be had around pornography in terms of tackling commercial sexual exploitation, trafficking. That's perhaps for another day. However, the situation articulated by Stop It Now provides a stark illustration of one of the many potential serious harms to individuals and to society as a whole. It's really crucial that men concerned about their behaviour know there is something they can do about it and there is help out there. I recently read a very interesting article by a playwright called Abby Wright. She had spoken with 10,000 children in a child-friendly way and not, as she said, using the P word, about the impact of pornography on their lives. She found that children as young as 6 are encountering pornography. For 9 to 11-year-olds, exposure to pornography is frequent. She also met a boy of 12 who was dealing with a pornography addiction and found that across the board, pornography is confusing the issue of consent. We're going to have to be cognizant of these really uncomfortable truths as parents, as teachers, as legislators, and in any discussions that we have about the quality and content of relationship, sexual health and parenthood education. Another finding of note was that children and young people were using pornography to plug the gaps in their education, which I think is concerning for the obvious reasons of the violence and lack of consent depicted in much pornography, but also really importantly reflects just how important inclusive approaches are, where children and young people can see themselves, their families, their relationships reflected in what they're taught. The UK Online Safety Bill will hopefully go some way to making children safer online, with a commitment to make age verification measures compulsory for pornography sites and social media. That's very welcome. I would, however, join Bernardo's and others in asking for these measures to be put in place as soon and as robustly as possible to help protect children from viewing pornographic content. And there is further work required in this regard to keep children safe. We need to ensure that the parity of regulation between online and offline content exists, and age and ID checks have to be there for anyone appearing in pornographic content online. It's critical that these two issues be dealt with if children are to be kept safe from exploitation online. Online platforms should be held liable for content that's either non-consensual or depicts anyone under 18. As Pauline McNeill said in opening, children on both sides of the camera, those able to watch and those forced or coerced into participating, need to be protected with robust regulation and enforcement. Age verification and consent is part of the terms of service for financial institutions and credit card companies. It was reported that when MasterCard stopped processing payments for Pornhub due to concerns over age verification and consent, almost 2/3 of the content on that site was removed. Tech companies can and must do more to keep everyone, but particularly our children and young people, safe on their platforms. And where they do not, our governments must step in. Presiding Officer.